This is from you.
Get back over 30.
Hey, what is up, everybody, man? It's your boy Tvshka, fresh out the studio, spending way too long on that video. Josh, what'd you think, man?
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah, shout out to Stranger Things. That's season 5 coming out eventually.
Dude, let's go, man. I'm ready for season 5. I don't know what the hell happened at the end.
Still.
Some stuff happened. I'm also not ready for this week because so much stuff happened, brother. I mean, as you saw in the video, the injury monster is very alive and well, feeding off the blood of the innocent. So condolences to everybody out there who had Pacheco, had Hollywood Brown put on IR, had everybody else, AJ Brown getting out. I'm just naming my team.
Any Ram.
God bless it, man. It was such a rough week, but hopefully your week was better, brother. How was your week? Not in fantasy life, but in real life.
Oh, okay, yeah. My real life was a lot better than my fantasy life.
Good.
But it didn't get killed as much as other people's roster. So I even though I didn't win per se in most leagues, I still got through this hurricane that was week 2.
Yeah. I mean, an absolute hurricane it was here in the Midwest. We call them tornadoes.
Tornadoes.
Good movie, by the way. Check that one out, too.
Twisters.
Plural.
Yeah.
I had a friend that was actually in the movie theater scene. Yeah. But no, I did not have any friends this week. Actually, I lied. I did, because I actually won. So I had a few friends. I actually had 2 friends. Hopefully they are BFFs. In Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. They finally link up this week, which was absolutely incredible. Can they keep that up? I don't know. But anything else before we move into the top 10, man? Anything in general?
Yeah, I mean, for Kyler and Marvin, I feel like the coach locked him in a room and said, "Figure it out." And then Kyler was like, "You want to play Call of Duty?" And he was like, "Yeah." And then that's how they did it. That's how they figured it out.
You know, that's actually not far off, probably, from the truth.
No. So that's probably what they did. You know, we had that. Does Joe Burrow know that Jamar Chase is on his team? Just want to throw that out there.
Just Jamar Chase know what to say and not to say to the referees.
I don't know about that. But you know who's honest? Who's more on the Eras Tour than playing on the football field is Travis Kelce when it comes to fantasy. But I'm not sitting there and saying I kind of saw this happening. Now it's only 2 weeks; they can figure it out. It's Travis, it's Patrick. You know, I don't. But this is odd of the percentage he's on the field. Like I thought they'd be like load management type of him not being on the field as much as he used to for them to make that. He was on the field a lot and just really didn't come out of it. So it's gonna be interesting.
Him. I mean, Andrews, all the tight ends. I mean, except Kittle this week. Kittle killed it. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting season so far. It's only week 2, like you said.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's overreaction week number 2. That's pretty much all it is. But we do have a little bit more of a sample size. Mm-hmm. And we do have 2 weeks worth of points. And to go to that, we're going to go to the top 10. So we're just going to kind of like briefly go over the overall top 10 out of the whole season so far. Maybe every other episode or something we'll touch back on this, just to kind of see player progressions. But Alvin Kamara, I mean, mainly because of this week, but he did good last week too. Got 20 points last week. Got 44 this week, or 22 last, 44 this. Makes 66. The guy has 198 rushing yards, which isn't a terrible amount whenever you talk about leaders. But, I mean, you look at the 4 rushing touchdowns and 1 reception touchdown and nearly 100 yards in receiving. Kamara, man, I had a trade opportunity. They added McClunky, which was good, but I just didn't want to give up what I had, because they were asking for Ramondre Stevenson as well. I don't know. Kind of looking back at it, like maybe I should have, could have went on that one. But Alvin Kamara, man, I mean, you got him in any of your leagues. If not, why is he decimating you?
No, he's of the 100 leagues I'm in. I think my opponent this week had 98 of my opponents had him. It was ridiculous. I'm just like, why am I? Oh my God, he has Alvin Kamara. In our dynasty league, it's like, why did he? Oh my God, he has Alvin Kamara. It's just like, what the crap? No, shout out to the Saints. I mean, what they're doing right now is ridiculous. Thankfully, we have 2 of their players, Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave. So it's looking good because yes, I'm a Dallas fan, and yes, I'm known for heartbreak of the past 29 years, but that's not a bad defense that Kamara and the Saints just tore the hell up. So I don't think this is a trend.
Okay. So you think this 2-week sample is just out of the gate, punch in the mouth, but then they're gonna settle back into the
next 3 weeks. Okay. You'll be fine unless their offense becomes, because once more tape gets out on them, I think you're going to see adjustments happen. Kind of like, all right, for example, the Philadelphia Eagles last year, they started out hot out of the gate. They couldn't stop anybody, but no one could stop them. And then people realized, wait, their offense is pretty bland. Here's what they're going to do. And then they struggled, for the second half of the season. So far for your first half of the season, the Saints, even Derek Carr, should be rostered or started unless you just, you have a C.J. Stroud or a Josh Allen or a Baker Mayfield. Yeah. If you have Baker and Derek on your team, that's a tough decision.
I mean, he's on the waiver in one of our leagues, so I was like, yeah. Even though I've got a couple of other good ones, but one other good one, running back wise, to have is Achane, man, from the Miami Dolphins, coming in at 53 points, 120 rushing yards, 1 TD, but getting the 14 receptions. I mean, that's the big one right there, getting 14 of those points, but also 145 reception yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. I mean, they're in Miami. I know there's other stuff we may get to, especially when we get to injuries, but Tua being sidelined for maybe a few weeks, if not more. And you got a lot of hungry hippos down there in Florida. I mean, what do you say about Achane?
As long as he stays healthy, this is the Achane we expect. What he was showing last year, what he was doing before he got injured, like for 5 weeks, his points output was right there with CMC of last year, and CMC did that all year long. So, knock on wood, because the dude feels like he's made like a hard sneeze will take him, sideline him for, a week, it feels like. But the only thing I'd say is, Mike, please do not, when the game was over at the end, as a fantasy owner, yes, it was nice to see him there just to rack up some more points, but also don't do that. Like, if the game's over and that guy we've known is very known to he's a glass house, I don't know what you want to call him, or a glass cannon, as they say in video game world. So far so good, because Devon Achane has been great for the first 2 weeks.
Well, here's a good question from Yale Granados. Would y'all trade Achane, Gibbs, and Rice for Lamb and ETN? He's also got Breece Hall. Hey, we're Breece Hall owners as well in our dynasty. Man.
Lamb and ETN's not going to be...
I mean,
I wouldn't trade all
have
three
Lamb
of those
and ETN,
for both of them.
Yeah. I mean, because Rice is really going to prove to be good now that Hollywood Brown's on the IR.
Yeah.
And now we also got Pacheco getting injured, unfortunately. So the Chiefs are definitely going to be pass heavy, and a big part of that is going to be Rashee Rice.
I don't. The production you're going to get from Lamb and Etienne won't hold a candle to the production you're going to get from Etienne, Gibbs, and Rice. Obviously, health being the outlier here, but I would now if it was flipped the other way and you were like, hey, should I trade Lamb and Etienne for those three? I'd be like, hell yeah, all day. I wouldn't give up that much value. I mean, if you can trade Breece Hall for Lamb and Etienne, that's a trade I would do, because as we've seen here with Bijan and Breece, they're living up to their billing. They're Mr. Everything for their teams. I mean, Bijan tonight, bring it up.
Let's go, baby. Because what do we need? 40 points?
Yeah, we need like a lot. But the guy's already got 12 for 96, 4 or 5 receiving for 25 yards, and already has 16 points. I mean, he's holding up to his level of what you need, other than a touchdown this week. So Bijan and Breece, I'm trying to see if I can do Breece for Lamb and Etienne, but I would not trade those three for those two. Maybe you could do two.
Would you trade up Rice for Lamb straight up?
No, because
and that's coming from a Cowboys fans, folks.
No,
coming from a Cowboys fan.
Lamb is used. Talk about the only person used on their team. That now he's Mr. Everything. Now I understand what you're saying. Pacheco being out, I still see them. They still have Xavier Worthy. They still have Noah Gray, Travis Kelce. And I alluded to at the beginning of the show with Kelce. It wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't surprise me to see Kelce just go off this week, just because he's been kind of dormant, at least out of character. So there's other options. Whereas for Dallas, they have no running game. Number one. Number two, Brandon Cooks is good, but he's not like a Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce. Like Jake Ferguson's hurt. Lamb is their offense.
We could do that too.
So that's why I lean towards, I wouldn't do Lamb or Rice straight up.
Yeah, you say Lamb over Rice.
Yes. Yeah. As of right now, it wouldn't surprise me if Rice ends up outscoring him at the end of the season. But as it stands right now, there's just too many other targets that are for the Chiefs and the way that Andy schemes it.
Well, Lamb and Rice sounds like a really good dinner, and I'm kind of hungry. But you know who else is hungry? Is Baker Mayfield, man. He's hungry for redemption. He is hungry for 49 points, coming in at third overall in a full PPR league. And this is also 4 points per passing touchdown. So don't get it twisted. If you got 6, he's going to have a little bit more in yours. He actually may be one of the top providers there. Because he actually has a rushing touchdown. But then throwing 49 passes, completing 36 for 474 yards and 5 touchdowns. In 2 games, are we looking at Baker Mayfield getting close to 4,000 yards on the season?
Nothing's told me differently. I mean, right now he's on pace for ridiculous numbers. And it's not like me and you didn't see this coming into this season. We were literally targeting him, but it just, value and stuff like that. So it wasn't like we were like, oh, number one, give us Baker Mayfield. Like, no, this is why we say don't reach for a quarterback when Baker Mayfield and Derek Carr and a bunch of names you're like, wow, they're there at late. So
they were there. They were there on the waiver. Right. They're on the waiver, folks. Like 1, 2, definitely 2 of these people are waiver wire candidates. Probably in a lot of leagues, depending on how deep your league is. I know for our one of the 10-person league that we're in, those 2 were there. I don't know if J.K. Dobbins got drafted. He should have. But that's another one we're going to talk about here in a bit. But and his counterpart, I kind of wish it was Evans, but it was actually Godwin at number 4. Coming in with 47 points because he's getting 15 receptions, 200 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Of course, a good portion of that was Sunday, but still just decent production. Over 2 games, is this something that will last? Will him and Evans just trade off tit for tat as far as which games they're going to be being in, or what do you think?
Obviously, game script, not looking at game script, because like Josh Allen this week, that had nothing to do with Josh Allen being bad. It had everything to do with the Miami Dolphins just basically just burying their head in the sand and forgetting how to play football. And so with the defense and everything like that, Josh Allen didn't have to do much. Now, why he was out there in like the fourth quarter, I don't understand. But that's why you saw Dalton Kincaid not do anything, because he was getting his stuff at the beginning of the game. They were targeting him and stuff, but then the game just, went the wrong way. So I just don't see. I see Godwin and Evans being like Puka and Cooper were at the end of the season last year. If you have both of them, you need to trade one of them and just figure it out. Just figure out which one's going to be better.
Just trade the right one, right?
Just trade the right one.
Yeah, here we go. Figure it out. My team is stacked. Man, let us know. Let us know what your team is down there, man. And without giving too much.
Chase is not a flop yet. Look at the three matchups they've got going forward.
Yep.
If Chase doesn't do anything the next 3 games, then you can worry. I'm worried about Michael Pittman. I'm worried about those.
But sticking with the Bengals, I mean, we said it last year. That there's a trend that they start slow. I think even the year before, it was still said that that's a trend. And this year, it's just basically a fact. The first 2 games, the Bengals are probably more than likely going to lose. And they're just not going to get a whole lot of production, unfortunately, in that. It was a hard-fought game. It was a good game. They actually outplayed the Chiefs quite a bit in that. But yeah, Jamar, you can obviously see there's frustrations there. But he also doesn't have T. Higgins. The running game really hasn't stepped up too much as far as Chase. And then Zach Moss as well. But yeah, just give it a little bit of time. Don't freak out. If you're looking to buy or get Jamar Chase, now's a good time for it, because he's going to be at an all-time low for emotional owners. And we'll do one more before we start moving on. Anthony Richardson, CD, Saquon, Alvin, Cup, AJ Brown, Hurts, and Laporte. That's a good team, brother. You just named probably 6 of the top 20 that I was targeting.
Are you in a 17 league? Like, how did you?
Dude, right? Yeah, seriously, yeah.
Dynasty? Okay. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, still, that's great, though.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, especially Dynasty, I can see that happening because of trades and draft picks and stuff like that. So I can see you ending up with that team. It just depends on when that Dynasty started. If it started this year, I'm very surprised you ended up with that team.
Yeah, right. But yeah, probably got Anthony Richardson in draft. Laporta maybe not last year. 12-team Dynasty.
You probably got Saquon late in one. If that was a
4 first-round picks. Oh, this guy, dude, you're sitting pretty, brother.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, just
thanks for tuning in to us telling you nothing because you already set. But thanks for tuning in.
Real, man. Enjoy that championship trophy, man. Send us pictures whenever you do, and send it to Ruckus EV at Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. But he was also everywhere, at least in Houston, is Nico Collins, man.
He's a dog, man.
Oh God, I hate Haygood because he grabbed him in our Ruckus League.
I was targeting Nico and Tank. Hey, and just what I said last week. Yeah. If you have Stephon Diggs last week, trade him, trade high, get the value of him, because guess what happened? Nothing. And
but Diggs is going to eat eventually as well, right?
Yeah,
But you got the Tank Dell, who's definitely the strong third in that.
Was Tank Dell.
Yeah.
If he would have just caught that one ball last night, that was a 50-burger touchdown. And that was I have a lot of investment in C.J. Stroud, and I threw my phone down when he dropped that ball because I was like, "That's it. That's exactly what you son of a." But that's fantasy.
Yeah, fantasy. Figured out. We'll get to likely and Rams wide receiver 1. And on that, I did take DeMarcus Robbins off of one of the waiver trades I was going to do. But anyways, Nico Collins, Houston, they're doing it and doing it well. Also, you go a little bit further to the east into New Orleans, and David's brother, Derek Carr. Oh my God, man, absolutely wrecking your boys today. But he's getting into 44 points overall, with one rushing touchdown as well, 443 yards and 5 passing TDs. Definitely spreading the ball. Everybody's getting fed. Again, just with the the Bucks and like talking about the New Orleans Saints earlier. 2-week sample. Is that enough of a size you do have some of these teams that like to start late. Is this something that they can continue?
I mean, if you look at what Kirk Cousins did last year, he was on an MVP season, and then and then Justin Jefferson got hurt, and then his Achilles went down. So barring injuries, the way that their offense is running, it's a new offensive coordinator. So you would think, oh, Derek Carr, he sucks, and he was a Raider, guys. When's the last time you were like, man, I wish I had that Raiders quarterback? You really don't say that. Still to this day, you're really like, man, I wish I picked up Gardner Minshew. Now Minshew's doing fine for who he is, but no, if I see this until I see something differently, I'm like, yeah, I would pick up Derek Carr to make sure someone else doesn't get him if you have a roster spot you need to fill.
I thought about that because I already have 2 QBs. I'm pretty happy with my starters in one of the leagues, and I may pick it up just to make sure nobody else has them, right? Then give it another week of good production value. We'll see. They're going to be playing the Eagles next week, the Falcons after. Then they go to the Chiefs, and then they play the Buccaneers at home. So they've got some good moments they could. So if you're looking at him, if you have him now, maybe look after the Falcons game. Hopefully they get a lot of production. Look for that trade value before they go against a couple of tough teams. But what I'm seeing right now, they could go toe to toe with anybody. And that Chiefs game is earlier in the season. I would have told you that's going to be a decent win. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure right now.
I picked the Chiefs to win every game doesn't involve the Cincinnati Bengals, because for some reason when they see those Cincinnati Bengals, Patrick Mahomes, he was not very good for Patrick Mahomes level.
Yeah, but he didn't look great in week 1. His production's been low overall, and last year his production was low. Of course, we said the receiver room was pretty weak. The receiver room's better now, so what is it? Is it just he's getting scripted out, and it's just a little bit tougher for the champs to, do the tricks they did, the previous year? Who knows? But Derek Carr is definitely on a tear. Pick him up. If he's, he shouldn't be on your waiver wire Thursday.
No,
he should
be 100% rostered unless you're.
How
in
much
some
fab
weird league.
would you put on that? Right. So talking about like our dynasty fab. Not in our dynasty itself, but just you have 100 fab. What are you putting on getting Derek Carr? Are you putting over or under 30?
In between, either right at or under it.
in between 30.
Between 30 and 25.
30 and 25. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just depends on your situation. Like if I already have like a CJ Stroud or a solid fine quarterback, and I've got another quarterback that's not trending in the right direction, I'm going to take a stab at Derek Carr. I'm not going to spend everything over it because I don't technically need him. But again, like I said, might as well pick him up because someone will. So if you can stat, it's the rich get richer type of thing. So if you think you're set, unless you have a guy that you just don't want someone else to get, I would try and get Derek Carr, which is the craziest thing I've ever said.
Yeah. A lot of people are going to be leveling up. Looking at Jordan Love owners, Tua owners. Some of these people that really need to pick up a quarterback because of the vacancies. If you had Bryce Young, you're probably in a dynasty league. Because
kind of go with it. He's not in the top 10 of overall players, but can't believe I'm saying this. But these quarterbacks should be 100% rostered.
Yeah.
It's Derek Carr and Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Got it out there.
No, right? Hey, you called it though. You called it beginning of the year. I didn't have faith in
I have
JJ
faith
McCarthy.
in that coaching staff.
And he got injured, and I definitely didn't have faith in Sam Darnold.
I have faith in that coaching staff and the way
Yeah.
he schemes. And Sam Darnold has never had a Justin Jefferson. Sam Darnold has been on the Jets. He's been on Carolina. Wasn't he a backup? Now, he was a backup for San Francisco last year. So I will say that's kind of weird. But, he came in sparingly, but not really.
But you know who was a backup 2 years ago and was an absolute stud? Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
He went to L.A. He got into a system that worked.
Yeah. Geno. Yeah. He hopped around from place to place, and now he's found his footing in a sense in Seattle. So yeah, Sam. As long as they must have had an exorcism, so he didn't see ghosts anymore.
I like it. Yeah,
he's doing good.
Yeah, no, he definitely is. But he's not in the top 10. You know who is, though? J.K. Dobbins. Man.
Oh, one and a half-legged J.K. Dobbins. He
yeah.
can't burn like he used to, but he can still torch the field.
I mean, hey, they must have rebuilt that leg to be stronger than it was before. Because I mean, he's been on tear, and I'm happy to see it for him because as you know, owners last year, it was rough him getting injured in week 1 or 2. But yeah, for him, I mean, he's getting 43 total points. Again, this is a full PPR, but he's not really getting any pass. It's all rushing, and he did get 4. But with that, he is getting 27 touches and 266 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. So yeah, this guy, he deserves it all, and the Chargers are pretty exciting to watch. I mean, the Harbaugh, renaissance there is in full effect. The worm has turned. Are these guys the early birds? In the AFC West to be able to compete with the Chiefs? I mean, who knows? I mean, the Raiders also defeated the Ravens, and the Broncos. Well, they're the Broncos, so it is what it is.
Like I said, going into the season, Harbaugh wins, and you're like, oh, he gave away all of his, talent, all that stuff. You know what his best coaching job is? Is teaching Quentin Johnson how to catch the ball, because the dude caught the ball. He finally did twice in the end zone. It's crazy. What happened with that? But no, with J.K. Dobbins. Okay, so Harbaugh he lets and he has Roman as the old Ravens offensive coordinator is now with the Chargers. What does Romans do very well? He schemes a run scheme very well. Who was J.K. Dobbins with before he was on the Chargers? He was on the Baltimore Ravens. So this isn't the first time he's been with this offensive coordinator. So this doesn't surprise me because this is why we were excited years ago before he tore his ACL and everything in his leg twice. But this was the Gus. We thought we couldn't figure out what running back was going to be the guy for the Chargers. We were like, maybe it's Gus Edwards, maybe it's J.K. Maybe it's someone else that they have on that team. It ends up being right now it's J.K. And like you said, I'm super happy for him. He's not gonna bust one for 50 yards like he used to because they're probably gonna end up catching him at the 20. But he's 2 weeks in a row he's been a dude. So hopefully this is a trend and not just something. And I still worry about how much gas he has left in the tank when we're at week 6 or 7. That's the only thing I would say. But other than that, the scheme's right.
Yeah.
The coaching staff is right. They've been doing offensive line picks for a while, so I think they've shored up that offensive line decently enough. They're not the Lions. So far, these run schemes are doing very well, and especially with Herbert getting dinged up again, they're going to need JK.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. The longevity is going to be the big question. Not that he gets injured again, but just, I mean, you even saw the longevity in his runs. I mean, once he got 70 yards, he was getting out of gas. But who is not running out of gas? It's probably because he didn't do anything other than store gas for the last 2 years. It's Kyler Murray. I am so happy that this finally worked out. But he,
at least for 1 week.
Huh? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for 1 week, getting 30 plus points. But overall, he's getting 43 points on the year. And again, full PPR and QB TDs are at 4 points. But yeah, getting 10 rushing attempts for 116 yards. Then 38 passing completions for 428 yards and 4 TDs. Yeah, I wish this was 2 weeks worth of data we're looking at as far as in the positive, but glad they arrived at least once. Hopefully they arrive again. Looking at the pair between Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. Because a lot of people were kind of calling red alert this week on Harrison Jr. for not doing anything other than getting 4 targets last week. So this week changed. It is against the Rams defense, and we'll see what that looks like. Wait, what am I think I copy and pasted something wrong. It says Buffalo. They didn't play Buffalo. But yeah, it was the Rams defense. But yeah, anything on Kyler Murray or Arizona in the team out west?
Like I said, I think they had a land session with COD to get their offense together. James Conner has been great. Trey McBride had solid targets that I expected this week. But Marvin Harrison, guess what? He's good at football. And he might, and if Kyler didn't throw the wrong, Kyler kept trying to lead him too much on that one goal line. But I mean, that's nitpicky. But he could have had 3 touchdowns when it was all said and done. I mean, Marvin had a day. I hope this is something going forward. I mean, we've all been salivating over this dude for like 2 years. And speaking about salivating over dude for 2 years, I mean, Brock Bowers, if he's not rostered, pick his ass up. We were just worried because he was on the Raiders. By we, I mean me. Guess what? Dude's still fucking good at football.
He's still good, but he's not in the top 10. You know who else is in the top 10? Let's get this. We
were just going to do overall top 10, so I was still picking out players.
All right. Well, I mean, we can go through individual positions if you want. But Breece Hall coming in at number 9 with 43 points. He's getting 30 rushing attempts, 116 yards. Really not a whole lot there, but getting the 1 TD. And the big thing is getting 12 receptions and then also receiving touchdown. So that helps him out in that. Yeah, I mean, week 1 wasn't the best, but this weekend was good. It almost seemed like it was kind of an inverse. Whoever produced last week didn't produce this week. But for Breece Hall, I mean, what are you thinking about him being in top 10? And I mean, I guess the same question with J.K. Dobbins and maybe some of the other running backs. I mean, what does the longevity look like for this kind of production?
Well, right now, the number 1 running back is wide open. Like I said, if health aside, Bijan, Breece, Achane, I think those 3 are there to stay. For health reasons. Will Mason for San Francisco creep up? It just depends. They just got riddled with injuries, which we'll go over here in a minute. But Breece Hall is still the dude that we were expecting Breece Hall to be. Bijan still doing very well. He's not doing the numbers that Breece is right now. Again, it's only 2 weeks in, but their sample size and stuff that we're seeing, they should be right there at the end of the season. And yeah, like I said, if Achane stays healthy, I expect him to be in a top 10 running back for sure when it's all said and done. And throughout the season, I expect Gibbs to be there because that's just kind of what they did last year. And Gibbs is being used a lot more than David Montgomery. Now, David Montgomery's still scoring, but Gibbs could creep up there as well. Now, Saquon's Saquon, so who knows? But those 3 are who I would spotlight as all injuries aside. Okay, we should put a disclaimer when I go over these things. I expect those 3 to be the top 3 dogs.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think Kamara would drop from number 1. I just don't see him really staying as the top dog for the entire season when you've got a lot of younger talent and younger systems that are still getting fleshed out. And but also at the same time, I mean, the Saints, I mean, they've got quite a bit of change. So maybe it is something that where people are just it's going to take a little bit to figure out and scheme against it. But
hey, man. If I have Alvin Kamara, I'm happy right now.
Oh my God, man! I really wish I would have pulled that trigger.
You know how good their offense is. Rashid Shaheed is tearing it up.
Yeah, no, I told you, Shaheed's actually something to look at.
Well, we have him. He's sitting on our bench.
Yeah, but he's not a running back. But he's also in the top 10. Might as well put an R in front of his Q. It's Lamar Jackson. It's your boy. Yay. Yep. Coming in with 43 points. Again, full PPR, quarterback touchdowns are 4 points. 21 rushing attempts, 167 yards. I mean, this guy has more rushing yards than a majority of these running backs here, man.
Yeah, but look at his passing yards, too. When people say he's only a running back.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm just working down through the numbers. But, I mean, it's just incredible just to see the how much he takes over a game with his legs. He did that with the Chiefs, and honestly, man, I mean, if it was a little bit of a 1 inch bigger of a field, We could have been seeing overtime, but they were going for 2. So we could have been seeing, win or loss there, really. But like you said, with the passing, 47 passing attempts or completions off of 75 attempts, but 520 yards. Definitely being in the lead there amongst the QBs, and 2 passing touchdowns. I didn't get to watch the Raiders game. I just kept seeing updates, and it was absolutely bananas. Bananes. I mean, how do you spell bananas? that was my handoff.
like the chick from No Doubt spells it.
Yeah.
It's Gwen Stefani, but I just wanted to shout out No Doubt. But yeah, no, I mean, obviously, everybody knows I'm a Lamar truther, and it's just if you want to see somebody, I've never been triggered by anything until someone's like, "Oh, he's nothing but a running back," and I'm like, "Tell me, why does he have 520 yards passing?"
Yeah,
I know they're 0-2, and all the blame's going to be put on the quarterback,
Dude.
and it should be.
Yeah.
But Jesus Christ, they couldn't stop the Raiders. You couldn't stop Gardner Minshew. Lamar can't do everything.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it should have taken advantage, and yes, he does miss throws. He's not the most accurate dude out there.
Right.
But look at the stats, and the stats don't lie. Is his back is hurting right now from carrying the damn team.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I mean, he can't play both ways.
No.
You kind of wish some players would be able to, because the defense. I mean, and it's kind of sad because Baltimore has always been touted as the defense of the league for a lot of it, right? I mean, since the 2000s, 20 years, and they were good, but maybe they're just riding off of that, that branding high a little bit more than what they need to this year, because they're just allowing too much to too little, and with it being AOC or Minshew there with the Raiders, but hey. I mean, good win for the Raiders. Just 0-2 Ravens feels really weird, and that's why we kind of call this the upside down.
Yeah.
For this episode, just because it was just like I don't know. I don't feel right. My skin crawls whenever we're talking about putting Fab on a waiver for who?
Derek Carr.
For who? No, not Derek Carr. I'm talking about Dalton. I mean, in our dynasty, but it's like
and Sam Darnold, and what are we? And the Vikings are out there just kicking the shit out of San Francisco. The Saints with Derek Carr led offense is putting up scored 90 something points in 2 games.
In 2 games, yeah.
It's ridiculous. Now, granted, it's Carolina, and Carolina is they're top 5 in the NCAA.
Right. But still, but you counteract that or counterweight it with Dallas defense.
Right.
I mean, that's like from worst to first.
Yeah, Dallas,
and that's where it's like that almost felt like the most ideal litmus test for an offense as far as is this a good offense or not. So it definitely is. But man, yeah, it's just been really weird. I mean, again, that's what we call it, the upside down. And sorry, I'm still beaming after that video.
You did good.
3 hours, man. 3 hours from concept to completion. So I'm excited about that one. But I'm not too excited about quarterbacks. At least in our dynasty, man, because we're grabbing at straws right now, right?
Yeah.
Anything we can kind of get. But any of the top 10 really stand out. I mean, I know we talked about Kyler Murray. We talked about Derek Carr, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. There's a couple of surprises in there. Daniel Jones? Why is Daniel Jones in the top 10 for quarterbacks on production? It's because it really just wasn't a whole lot. What are your thoughts on Daniel Jones, and how fast will he leave the top 10?
Now. As long as he's throwing it 27 times to Malik Neighbors, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Because the targets that Malik Neighbors, I know you went from that, but I'm transitioning to Malik
No,
Neighbors.
you're good. You're good, because that's the main point.
Yeah.
Is who he's throwing to. If it's anybody else, he's not getting that.
I think he had 20 targets. It was something ungodly that he had this week. And he unfortunately dropped the ball. I think that's we've said, and again, this is upside down. These first 2 weeks are weird, where the Bears won week 1 and they covered by not scoring an offensive touchdown. The Giants lost to the Commanders, and they scored touchdowns, and all the Commanders did was kick field goals, and they still won. And it was unfortunate that there was a fourth down where Malik should have caught it, and he was just pissed the whole time. But I mean, the dude was dead. He just, and he's a rookie, but this was Malik Neighbors that we were saying, dude, this guy's legit out of college. And Marvin Harrison's great too. He's legit great out of college. And who the hell else does the Giants have? You hear that? Exactly. They only have his Malik Neighbors, and he's good enough to get open. Whereas, they don't
have Shepard. They don't have Odell.
No, they don't have anyone other than Malik Neighbors. Whereas the Cardinals, they do have Marvin Harrison. He is their number one receiver, but Trey McBride, James Conner, and then Greg Dortch is being used a lot. He's being targeted a lot in the slot, so they're spreading the ball around. Plus, when Kyler gets his Mario Star and just when he freaking goes off. So that's what I was expecting with Malik Neighbors. But as far as the top 10, just to kind of go back, Nico Collins is there. I was expecting that at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I think Malik. If you have Nico Collins, you should be very, very excited about the future, because and that's a good Bears defense, and they did hold Texans enough to where they had a chance to win on the road. Their offensive line is dog shit. But Nico, he showed me this week that if you need to go, if someone needs to go, we need a first down, and hey, we need to go get open. Nico's going to go get open, because he showed that multiple times last night.
Yeah. And he almost looks like he's getting bigger.
Yeah.
like Deebo Samuel big.
Yeah.
Because he's just trucking people over. And he's the number 4, as far as the top 10. We mentioned Malik Neighbors, who's number 3. Number 2 was DK Metcalf. And number 1 is Marvin Harrison. Calvin Ridley's in the top 10. That's another kind of surprising one. Not because he's not good. It's just the team that he's on, right? But what are you thinking, though? What's the meh about? Was it that non-catch?
I just think it was his numbers don't lie, so I'll give it to him. 77 and a touchdown. It was a long one, and he had a run for 10 yards. So 6 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown. That's nothing to cry about, obviously, in his top 10, but I just don't. And someone needs to make me believe in Calvin Ridley, because he hasn't done that yet. The only thing he makes me believe in is that he's not good at gambling. That's about all I know about Calvin Ridley.
It's a lack of belief in Ridley, or is it lack of belief in Levis, right? Yeah,
Levis.
A guy puts mayo in his coffee. He can't be that great.
He doesn't peel his banana when he eats it. It's just hard for me to trust that guy.
And prediction-wise, he just hasn't been there.
I will say this, though. The Sofa Hilltoppers are thinking about putting a receiver on waivers, because we've got way too many hard decisions to make every week, because we can't freaking start somebody correctly, but we've got really stud receivers. So, I just be on the lookout, guys. Devontae Adams might hit the trade block. Just saying.
Yeah. A lot of people got stud receivers. It's a receiver year. For sure. They're counting for a majority of the points. One group that's not until this week, tight ends, man. George Kittle getting 21 points overall because of 7 receptions for 76 yards and 1 touchdown. After him, it's Hunter Henry at 19, Bowers at 19, McBride at 19, and then it just kind of drops off from there. Mike Andrews barely cracks the top 10 with 9 points, but 9 points is not much production. What's going on with the tight ends this year?
Same thing I've said every year. It's a crapshoot unless you have those. If you can find those 2 or 3 guys that's going to be consistent every year, you're rolling the dice on, and you just need them to get. If they don't get in the end zone, you're screwed. You just are. Like Trey McBride, he gets his targets. That's why he's up there. Mm-hmm. George Kittle, fortunately, he got hurt, but that's George Kittle. Mark Andrews, he finally showed back up again. But yeah, these other guys, I'm like Hunter Henry, New England. No, I mean he's a good. These are all good players, but fantasy wise, unless they get a touchdown, typically they're not there. And all these guys didn't have a touchdown except for George Kittle. But so you want to look at consistency. I alluded to at the beginning of the show. Brock Bowers is there at number 3. And this was better than we did last week, but apparently they go. I guess the Raiders were like, "Hey, this guy is really good. Let's just throw him the damn ball," and they are doing that. But Gesicki, I like what he's done the past 2 weeks. That should have been a touchdown in week 1. So if you have a tight end that you're skeptical about, I'd take a stab at Gesicki, for the utilage that they're using him for with that. But everyone else, I mean, Ertz is 72 years old, and the other guys,
Shoemaker, he's the new guy.
Yeah,
rookie last year, came in. Ferguson getting injured.
Yeah, so I mean that's the reason I'm held on to Ferguson and just took the L with him, because I didn't want to drop anybody, but I didn't want to drop Ferguson either, because this is what Ferguson's going to do, and plus he's week to week. So if he's in, I hope more information comes out to where I can make a decision.
Well, and looks like Kirk Cousins is trying to make this a decision. 43 seconds left in the game. 15-21. Falcons are down by 6 to the Eagles, and they're marching, brother. Sorry, that's what I kind of been glued to. Thank you for vamping. I know you wanted to talk about Bauer, so that's why I was like, let's get the tight ends. But I also wanted to talk about tight ends, and hopefully you're still watching. Figure it out, unless you figured it out. Where did it drop to? There we go. Sorry about that. Opinions on likely, as in that catch was not likely. Cousins, you should have not thrown it. Isaiah Likely, though, the counterpart to Mark Andrews, there with the Ravens. His production week 1 against the Chiefs was incredible, and he showed a lot of skill and talent, especially with that one big run, making people miss. Likely, do you pick him up? I know last week was kind of the scramble to get him for Figure It Out. I'm guessing he has Likely, so you keep him and sit him. Maybe is it more of like a, I guess, matchup kind of question?
Yeah, it's a matchup thing.
Yeah.
Again, like I said last week, if you look at when the Chiefs play the Ravens, they shut Mark Andrews down. So you're a little ahead of me. So I don't know what just happened.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, there
Cousins
goes that.
actually looking good.
I just lost. So that happened.
I mean, it's still 30 seconds, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. But likely. Sorry.
But yeah, I'm likely going to lose this week. That's what's going to happen. But with Isaiah Likely, I'm indifferent on him. I tried to just go ahead and pick him up because I had Jake Ferguson, who was hurt, but I wasn't expecting this onslaught of Isaiah Likely coming out because I expected Mark Andrews to get back to form. Just like I said, the Chiefs have somehow shut down Mark Andrews the past 5 times that they've seen him. So it's not like it's it's Likely's team now. Now Likely is definitely the better athlete, but so opinions on Likely, there's really not a whole lot of consistent tight ends. It just is. There's just not. So unless you can, what I would do is I would at least keep Likely and see if I can pick up Mike Gesicki, play Gesicki this week, and see what happens. Just because of the target share that he's getting, because the other tight ends that you would want are not on it or rostered already. So the kick is good. Okay.
So that 22, 21, 34 seconds left. A big penalty on London. And it looked like the main reason why was because he did like a machine gun to the crowd.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So it's like, yeah, maybe a little excessive, as far as his actions in that. This day and age, man, maybe just no finger guns, no nothing. Because you never know who's going to misinterpret that. We're not going to talk about assassination attempts or anything.
Nope, that's not this type of show.
Yeah, but who tries to assassinate the QBs is the defense. anything on defense in general, not just this week with the Bills topping at 18 points, Houston's number 3 with 15, Vikings number 4. But I mean, defenses. Have you changed your thoughts on maybe some of the ones you've drafted? And do you want to trade or drop any of them?
If a team plays Carolina, pick them up. If your team doesn't play Carolina, drop them and pick them up. That's pretty much it. It's just. It's the same. I know I sound like a broken record, and that's when it comes to like kickers and defenses. It's just like, what kickers on a team where as soon as they get inside the 45-yard line, they just sit on the ball and kick a 50-yarder. Like, I picked up. Fairbairn has been nuts. And just game script size. So Fairbairn's been ridiculous. I think he's in top 10 scoring of all players after 2 weeks. It's just ridiculous on what he's doing. But defense wise, Houston's played well, but they haven't played really anybody. I guess week 1 they did with the Colts, but I don't know. The Vikings, I guess, would be the one that I would kind of target because 2 weeks in a row, I know it was Carolina 1, but they did that to San Francisco, who tore up the Jets defense week 1. So, I'd take a stab at the Vikings. And again, when it comes to defenses, look at their next 3 or 4 matchups. That's how you figure out if you want to do that defense. So if they're going up against shit offenses, like they go Carolina to, Jacksonville to.
Well, you don't have to guess because they play the Raiders next week.
Yeah, so pick them up.
Yeah. Yep. Raiders defense proved to be pretty good against the Ravens.
No, I always said the Raiders coming into the season, the Raiders are going to have a good defense. Max Crosby is a top 5 defensive player in the league, and Antonio Pierce showed you last year when he took over interim, that team plays for him. Yep. They bought into what he's doing. That was a willed team to victory through the head coach and the culture that he's built. So, that was also a willed victory by the Atlanta Falcons with that interception.
There you go. So, and he hurts owners. That's going to hurt you a little bit. I know that's a little bit too much on the nose, but really couldn't say it either way. The Falcons.
Dude, I can't.
The Eagles. What is this? 1998, 99? Is this the Dirty Birds, baby?
No, man.
The Dirty Birds, they back?
This is the NFL where, unless you're just incompetent, every game is going to come down to a couple of possessions. Because these are the best of the best guys. So people out there, you're like, oh, man, I'm pretty sure Alabama can beat the Carolina Panthers. No, they can't. Stop it.
Yeah.
Just stop. They can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
I love to see it. Because
couldn't happen to a better fan base, Just couldn't happen to a better fan base.
Well, and honestly, really this first couple of weeks, everybody other than the Panthers is pretty much winning. There's there's a lot of 1-1 teams right now. And there's a lot of good teams that are 1-1.
There's a lot of good teams that are apparently like the Bengals are 0-2. The Ravens are 0-2.
Yeah.
That's about the only 0-2 teams that I'm like, that's weird. But everyone else, it's like 0-2 or, whatever. But everyone else, like you said, it's like 1-1.
It's not weird. We're talking about NFL standings right now. So the Eagles will go to 1-1, which means that that's tied for first. It's early on, but you got the Bills are 2-0, the Chargers and the Chiefs are 2-0. That's crazy to hear. Is this 1998? Steelers are 2-0.
Malik Willis won a football game as a starting quarterback.
Texans are 2-0. The Titans, the Jaguars, and the Colts are 0-2. And I feel like that's definitely not going to stay. But I feel like that is one of the more competitive divisions there. As far as them all being pretty decent. Like the Colts being 0-2, they're actually a decent team. Just get bad breaks sometimes. But then you jump over the NFC South. You got the Saints and the Buccaneers 2-0. Really the only true 0-2 team I mean, looking at it, you also got the Rams 0-2, the Giants 0-2. It's really what the Giants and the Panthers. Is that really the only true 0-2 teams right now?
Yeah, the Panthers and the Giants. They're definitely they don't look good.
I'll throw the Broncos in there as well.
Yeah,
they're 0-2.
Broncos. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, the Patriots. They're what you can tell. They're already back to being a well-coached team. Ramondre is a dog. 2 weeks in a row, he's been pretty good. Nothing. The Commanders' defense is so suspect. I don't see them. I see them as a 5-6 win team, maybe, but I don't see them as bad as, the Giants and the Panthers. Yeah, there's 50 feet of crap, and then there's the Giants and the Panthers.
Right.
But not for Malik Neighbors, though.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, it's a reception share. And all of that. I mean, there was production. That's why Daniels was in the top 10. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens there, because injuries are a big part of it, man. Injuries are what really change, and honestly, injuries is what this character is running away from.
Prissy, this is from you.
Sorry. We'll just get right back to it. God, yes, man. Injuries, brother. I mean, it's a monster chasing us down the stairs. I know we got a lot that's listed because a lot of it is just the overall list of injuries right now for a lot of the major players. But, I mean, what are some of a few that you've picked out to talk to us about?
Well, Christian McCaffrey is probably the biggest one right now, based off of him being 101 to 102, depending on where you drafted him. But he was either the first or second draft pick off the board. And we knew he had a calf injury, but I know a lot of people online right now are pissed off at the 49ers because they're like, if you knew he was that injured, but at the beginning of the season, why didn't you tell anybody? And then you benched him, and now he's on IR. Like, that timeline does not add up. You knew this a while ago, and you didn't say anything. And I don't know how the rules, they got on Mason last week after saying he knew he was going to start Friday out of, all of that. But, if you don't have Jordan Mason, I'd say Isaac Garendo is a pick. He's a rookie out of Louisville. That's the only reason I know him. They also have another back. And then Devo just got hurt. They said he might miss a few weeks. So, hey, Brandon Ayuk owners, you might kind of be happy in that situation. Now, without Christian McCaffrey and the full plethora of receivers, because George Kittle got hurt, I really didn't see exactly I think he might be out a couple weeks. I didn't really see the exact one, exact diagnosis at least for that. And then
I'll look it up and see if they updated.
Joe Mixon hurt his ankle, so if Cam Akers, at least for a spot start, I would spot start him this week. He's the backup there because he twisted his ankle. Again, that's one of those hip drop, which they were going to outlaw hip drop tackles, and they were doing it left, right, and center, and no one's calling it. But, yeah, just illegal formation. Let's call that 17 times because that's really going to tell them straight. Cooper Kupp, I mean, just Puka Nakua's on IR. Now, they haven't officially said it, but I'm like 55% sure Cooper Kupp's going to go on the IR, but they are going to try everything they possibly can. So Demarcus Robinson, I know they have a rookie, and then you can do Tutu Atwell for them as well. So that's something you can pivot to there. Raheem Mostert still out, and then just Jeff Wilson so Jalen Wright, if you're a Devon Achane owner, anybody that wants to just, hey, I don't have a running back, I might need a flex that's worth the crap, Jalen Wright might be something I would target. I'm pretty sure he's rostered in most of your leagues, though. Justin Jefferson, they haven't said anything about his quad. I think he's going to be fine. They said it's like day-to-day type thing, so I think he's going to be fine there. A.J. Brown obviously was out this game, so a lot of people were like, I can't believe they lost to Atlanta. Well, he didn't have A.J. Brown. So if you don't think A.J. Brown's worth the crap, there you go there.
Yeah, so let's pause real quick. Justin Jefferson, the quadricep, is listed as questionable right now.
Right.
And in that same matchup, George Kittle listed with cramps.
He was carted off the field. Oh, yeah, that's right. I think they said he would just get an IV. Sorry. Yeah. That's where the cramp came in. Sorry.
Yep, so he looks good. Let's jump to the chat, though, right? So we talked about Cooper Kupp a little bit. Every time I click on this thing moves. It's weird. Who's Rams' number 1 wide receiver? Right.
I guess DeMarcus Robinson at this point.
Yeah, baby. We'll see what production he has.
I don't know. Sean McVay. What the hell was that?
Sean McVay. What's up?
Oh, Sean McVay over there. That sound like Forrest Gump. But no,
let's keep running.
I think, and then Tutu Atwell. He's been on the team for a while, so if you, like I said, these are deep dive. We really don't know until next week. Kyron Williams, I guess he's there. I mean, he's going to be. If I'm a Kyron Williams owner, I'm happy, but then I'm also nervous because they're going to stock the box and make them throw the ball. Now, if you're going to throw the ball, might as well have Matthew Stafford doing it. But I would say right now, DeMarcus Robinson, even though he's not that great, he's a fine route runner. He's been in the league forever. I think he was a Chief 17 years ago. So
got touching the touchdown pass, I believe, in the playoffs.
Jefferson's not there anymore. He's at the Steelers. I know they have a rookie that's doing everything. Forget his gosh damn name.
Well, they also got someone with 4 years experience, which is Tyler Johnson. And Tyler Johnson actually got 7 targets in game 1 and 3 targets in the last game. Yeah. So his target share went down, but at the same time, he is expected to get the second most points after him, Tutu Atwell, and then our boy, rookie Jordan Whittington.
That's who I was like, he's on it. I know who I'm talking about. There's a rookie there, and they were big. They were high on him about camp the whole time. So yes, Whittington. Look out for Whittington. Let's see if he takes that step.
Yep. Well, here's a couple of steps, and some of them pretty fast. Devontae Adams for Rashid Rice.
Yes.
Ooh. Yeah. You basing that off of just overall production of the offense, or just stronger offense? Yeah.
Yeah, stronger offense. Devontae, I think he's on that. He's going to show up a couple of times, but I think the consistency lies with Rashid Rice. Again, this is after week 2. I could be dead wrong. We're like weathermen here. We're predicting that Rashid Rice is going to be more consistent going forward, and Devontae is just going to be up and down just based off a quarterback. But I've been wrong before.
Yeah, we've been wrong before, but I don't think you're wrong here. Whenever you look at the actual target percentages, Rashid Rice is high. I mean, he's not getting a ton of touchdowns, and he's not the one getting the big plays over the top like Xavier Worthy, but he is getting a majority of the work, and he's only going to get more now that Brown is stuck on IR and Pacheco's out. But yeah, I would just look at it as who's throwing him the football. Who's throwing Devontae Adams the football versus Rashid Rice? It's Patrick Mahomes. Cool. I'm going with that.
Yeah, exactly. That too. And also, I met my quota on talking about the other guy on the Raiders that catches the ball, so I can't talk about him anymore.
Yeah, you already met your Bowers quota.
I already met my quota. I can't talk about him anymore. Guys, I'm sorry.
I'm just going to start calling him
If you want to go back and listen to me talk about that guy that I can't talk about anymore, just rewind it.
Yeah, you know it, man. Chris, hey, we fucking around, bro. We fucking around. Yeah, man, Cup, that's a sad day. Very sad day for that.
Yeah.
And the rest of the Rams receiving core. But just hope he misses the next 2 weeks when they have a bye following those. So hopefully it's just the 3. I'm assuming you're talking about the Rams still. But yeah, man. So anything else on injuries? Any other ones of note?
Another reason why I like Rashid Rice is because of Hollywood Brown being hurt. Again, we don't like people being hurt, but I was surprised it took them this long to figure out that Hollywood Brown's going to go on the IR, because the injury that he hurt before the season started, I'm like, why haven't they put that? You don't just come back 2 weeks and feel good unless you're not feeling your body.
It got re-aggravated. So the story with that supposedly is that the MRIs of the scans came back, and that they looked good, but then at the point where it was supposed to heal a little bit more, it actually shifted. And so that's whenever they went back and they said they had to do some surgery, which is going to be pretty much, a good portion of the season missed.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
They really haven't said anything. They just said that. Now, I'm going to be interested to see if they just decide to push out Ricky Pearsall out there for the 49ers.
I mean, he could. I mean, if he does, he'd get comeback player.
Yeah.
Even though he never was here. But
there's no telling that's going to happen because
bless it.
Yeah. Did you fix your camera? But there's no telling. I mean, Brian Robinson came back after being shot and played okay. But
yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, Ricky.
He'll be fine, but at this point, I mean,
he doesn't know.
He hasn't
got any reps. There's a lot of like, they just can't throw him out there and tell him to swim, which he's good enough to do. He keeps telling coach, he's like, yeah, I'm good, coach. But they always say that because they want to get out there and play and prove themselves and get that money.
Yeah, especially if you're a rookie. Like he hasn't even played an NFL game, which absolutely sucks for the kid. But at the same time, I think he's just gonna be an incredible player, and this is gonna be part of his documentary and his triumph story. Just like that, the Fly Eagles Fly one. I can't remember what it was called. There was something fly in there back in the 90s, man. Like he actually learned how to re-walk, and he fell in love with his physical therapist. Shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a clip of that movie for next week, by the way. That's
Nice.
going to happen. So make a note of this one. But
yeah, it's unfortunate that I think within 2 years we've had 2 rookies get shot before the season and then end up coming back because like I said, Brian Robinson Jr. got shot before the season started 2 years ago. He's the most boring, consistent scorer in the NFL. Yeah.
There's quite a bit of them, but come week 4 or 5, I mean, you're gonna be appreciative of having those individuals sitting on your number 3 spot or your flex, really.
Yeah, I mean, Juwan Jennings for San Francisco, with Ayuk obviously is the guy you're excited about, but with Debo being out, I'd look at, if you like San Francisco and you don't have anybody, I mean, Jennings might be a good pickup there for the next couple weeks. I probably would just stay away from him based off, it just depends on how desperate you are with your roster, because there's better players out there that you can pick up. Because you're basically throwing darts at this point of like, all right, now with this person being out, can they actually step in and be that person? Or like a Puka Nacua last year, where he stepped in and was that dude the whole time. I mean, Nico kind of ended up being that guy last year, but that was more of CJ Stroud just finding his footing and being around a good offensive coordinator. Because Nico showing last year wasn't a fluke. Dude's a dog.
Yeah, no, Nico is definitely the number one there. You kind of bring up a pretty good aspect as far as like the waiver wire. I know we really don't make this a major point of discussion as far as like a segment, but we did have a guest that was going to be coming in tonight. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to, but shout out to them. We'll see you when we see you, brother man. But yeah, no, definitely with the waivers. I mean, we've got a dynasty league. You're in multiple leagues as well, but 10-man, 12-man. I feel like there's such a huge difference between those two.
Yes.
Because, you're talking about, an additional, 16? I mean, depending on how deep your actual roster is. I know for our dynasty, the one that we have together, it is like just going through the muck. I mean, Dalton, that's our option. That's our number 2 QB. It's like, what the fuck are we in right now? Sober money, what's going on? Okay. Very deep Yeah, very deep dynasty league start 12, 16 bench spots, 5 taxi squad. Yep. Someone just dropped Tyler Algier. How much fab would you drop? Ooh, the fab question, man. Those are tough. Literally, there's no other running back on waiver. Man, I mean, okay. So I got something real quick, and it's really more pertaining to poker, but it's also with this too. Depending on the people in your league, there's at a certain point where you play the numbers, but the other part you play the person. Because even if you have a worse hand, if you know that person is going to, just overbid and bid and bid, that's where you may take that into account. But God, man, Tyler Algier. If there's no others, I would go 12, 10 or 12. What are you thinking on that one?
Yeah, just because it's like, there's no running backs, you want to stash them. So it just depends on your roster and how desperate you are. Like, I know some people way overspent give it another show. Who one day we're gonna match them in viewership. But the fantasy footballers, I know Andy Holloway spent. I think he dropped
God, like
$80
like
on Isaiah Likely.
Dude. He shipped the whole farm for him.
Yeah, and the lowest person next to him was like 10. He's like, did I get him? And they were like, oh yeah, you got him.
Yeah.
So
you got him, bud.
Even the guys that get to do this for a living, sometimes go, just it depends on their situation, and they want to make sure that they get them, and they think that they're good enough with the rest of their squad. Or you're just desperate and just need to spend what you need to spend.
Oh man, but the Holloway thing, that is such a bad example. Like, because he could have definitely gone way lower. But yeah, for context, winning bids last week for other players were 700 and 600. Ooh, out of 1,000. Okay, so you're starting with an extra 0 than we are probably in your fab, having 1,000. So just add a 0 to, I guess, whatever we're saying. So 120. But at the same time, man, if people are bidding like that,
who were those 2 players?
Dude,
that's my question. Like, if it's dart throws, everything on waivers, especially for Dynasty, is a dart throw. But
I think the key thing with this individual Silver Money is that
16 bench spots.
It's a league start, right? So very much like the Dynasty League we just did together. It's a league start, so. That's where we're having the conversation. Are we foregoing this year, or are we going to go for this year, right? Because 2 weeks in, injuries are hitting hard. We also, with that initial auction draft, we got some incredible players that we know are going to be great for us for a long time, but we're kind of hurting this year. So that's interesting, Sober. That's interesting. Okay, so he says Tyler Johnson and Lazard.
Lazard makes sense.
Yeah.
Just because, and he still makes sense going forward, just because Garrett Wilson is right now. So yeah, those 2 make sense. Tyler Algier, how many goal line touchdowns is he worth? Right now he's still getting carries within the 10-yard line, but he can't do anything. And he's still going to get his carries. I think he had like 20 or 30 yards tonight. Looking it up here. Yeah,
I was going to look on the overall and kind of see where he's ranked at.
He had 9 for 53. So and like, is it a double flex league? Like, I don't know what type of structure it is. But if he's the only one there, then probably.
Yeah. He said you start 12, you got 16 spots, and then 5 taxi.
Yeah,
it sounds a lot like our structure too.
Yeah, it's just the fact of, it's like, is Tyler Algier? Okay, is Tyler Algier really? I just don't put 700 or 600 on Tyler Algier. But I'm surprised he's not rostered either. That's surprising in itself.
Yeah,
just because
just name alone, and then also, with him still being in Atlanta and in the system, he is the number 2 running back, but he's only gotten 2 points, and that's even including tonight. Because it automatically updates. So really not a whole lot of production. Yeah, out of 1,000, I would even maybe go a little bit lower, but you look around him, you also got Trey Sermon. God, man. I mean, if that's how low it's going, I mean, and we feel you on that. I mean, the quarterback market is dried up in the dynasty. I mean, you're like, again, I mean, you're either just picking up trash off the floor, or you're really like looking to try and scheme and trade, maybe even leverage some of your picks next year. But
oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
Someone dropped him to pick up Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, and Kareem Hunt
Chiefs.
is not even available in ours yet.
No.
Unless that changed. If that changed, we going for it.
Is he officially signed?
He's not officially signed yet, but he reports were that he was in Kansas City visiting, and honestly, it makes perfect fucking sense, man. I'd say bring back Larry Johnson, bring back Priest Holmes, bring back everybody. Let's get this three-peat. That's coming from a Chiefs fan, but yeah, and that's I was waiting for earlier to see if it would pop up, but yeah, that's good though. I mean, if they're putting him in somewhere. That means there's a lot of legitimacy to that. And
I will say this though: if Taysom Hill is listed as a tight end in your league is living a lie. Just got to get that out there at least once a show. He's not a tight end.
The Taysom hate, man. The Taysom hate.
Not him.
It's the
fact that they think that he's a tight end, and that's a cheat code. I blame Sleeper. I blame ESPN. I blame Yahoo. Whoever thinks and determines that he's a tight end, because he's not. But he's hurt this week, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and Kareem Hunt actually in the dynasty belongs to the chicken fucker.
Oh, of course.
I bet that dude like drafted him. Probably.
He probably did.
There's so like, and credit to them, because I mean there was people who was like, I didn't even hear about them yet. Look them up, and I'm like, oh, they've got to be on waiver. Nope, they were drafted. It's like, son of a gun, dude. So yeah, so we're playing with some good people. Get some good players. Going to level up our game. And Silver Money, hopefully you level up your game. Josh, anything else before we get to the pick'ems? Then we're going to get out of here after that.
Nope. Let's get out of here because we're trying to determine how much fab we're going to put for freaking Andy Dalton. God, man. So before I have to go into that puddle of crap.
Sorry, y'all. We got a business meeting after this. So we got to get going. But yeah, no, looking at, and anybody, you can join. We'll put the link in the description. Just a week to week, just kind of fun deal. So no money on this one. Just something to start it up. And maybe next year we may look at actually having a little bit of payouts each week. But with that said, Sleeper, you got some bugs in your systems, brother. Because if you look at New England versus Seattle, why is it crediting a loser? I think that Sleeper is actually secretly owned by the Glass family. I don't know what did you say to that, Mabry, but overall, Jason L looks like he's going to walk away with this one, even though nobody picked a Monday night game. So I like how that doesn't count against me because I did finish out and picked every game.
Because I mean, it didn't credit any one of us. I guess if we're different, but no, they gave LA Chargers to everybody, but it didn't give Kansas City and it didn't give Houston as a win. So,
I probably copied this during the game itself.
Even the Kansas City one?
It was during the Kansas City game, probably.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, you may be right on that one. I'm actually looking up in the app right now, just to confirm, because I had a screenshot and then send over.
It might have. No, I wouldn't have done that. Because I mean, I guess it would have been. It's not based on spreads, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, this one's just straight pick 'em. But yeah, I mean, so Kansas City winning, Houston. I mean, we're on the same boat there, anyways. Man, Houston didn't look like they really wanted to win the game sometimes. Same with the Chiefs as well. But yeah, for our pool, it's still saying the same amount. So, anyways, Sleeper, fix your bugs, bro.
Fix your bugs, bro.
Yeah. And then we won't look at next week's games. Maybe do like a little bit of a midweek video or some shit like that. But but yeah, man. Anything else for the crowd before we get out of here?
No, just obviously, like you said. I mean, everyone's throwing darts. Sell high on players that you don't that went well for you, like we talked about Stephon Diggs last week, or if you're able to get Jamar Chase for cheap, shout out to that because I think he's still going to be fine. I don't think he's going to be the first round draft pick that we're all expecting to be, but I don't know. Season's still young. We still got 15 more of these dudes to do, or at least, -2, so technically 13.
Yeah,
but
16 more weeks, but yeah, we got 15 more games per player. But also, man, I mean, last question: Carson Steele or Samaje Perine? That is the question, folks. Y'all figure it out. It's going to be a mess. But we're also a mess as well. Here at Ruckus Entertainment and Variety. We absolutely loved hanging out with you all tonight. Thank you for being very vocal in the chats. Appreciate you guys coming in. Yeah.
You fire them away.
Yeah, definitely. Figured it out sober. I feel like you guys are like kind of simpatico with each other because sometimes you got to get sober to figure it out. Yeah. But we're not going to do that tonight. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to invite you to follow us at Ruckus EV at everything. And on social channels, we're on Twitch. We're also on YouTube as well. So follow us there. Like and subscribe. We're just 2 away from 100. And for the Discord group, we're actually going to have a little bit of a hangout party sometime when that does happen. And we expect it to happen very soon. Josh, what do you got going on this week, brother?
Well, if you're saying if you need some advice, yeah, go ahead and fire away real quick when I'll do this rundown for us all in one show. Go ahead and fire away your question there. Okay. So Jamar Chase for Bijan and Pollard. So are you trading away Jamar Chase for Bijan and Pollard?
I mean, if you so, can get that, yeah,
1000% do it. I don't even know why your question.
Yeah. I just don't know if anybody's going to take that
because that's your running back 1 and 2 right there.
Yep.
And those are harder to come by. So
especially with Trey Spears' injury, Pollard is the number 1 back there.
I would just but this is where you've got to sell this. Here's the thing: is you can propose a trade, but this is where the sales. You got to put the salesman cap on here because if you're talking with somebody, they got to be. It's a hard sell. This is a hard sell because you really have to be with somebody that's ridiculously has a bunch of other receivers that can fill in or they have a bunch of or they suck at, sorry, it's the other way around. They suck at receiver, but they have, 2 or 3 other running backs that they can replace that with. Bijan's going to be a hard one. If that was Travis Etienne and Pollard, you'd probably get away with it. Bijan and Pollard's going to be hard to pull off. But to answer your question, yes.
Yep.
And then
exactly, I was going to get to that. They said they're in need of running backs, and Jacobs Pacheco was your 1 and 2. That's rough.
Jacobs has at least showed out the second game. So
Jacobs definitely did because Dylan's out, right? So
Dylan's out for the rest of the year, and then Marshawn Floyd got hurt again. So whatever. That dude's never been healthy.
I think this was questionable last time, but definitely, if you can get that trade, go for it, man. You may have to throw something in there to spice it up. In all reality,
it might be
injury monster. Injury monster is getting us. And since you just joined us there in the chat, brother, as far as all in one show, and would have Flowers, London, Waddle as my wide receivers.
Not bad.
Yeah,
Not bad.
I mean London did pretty good tonight.
I mean, all 3 outscored Jamar Chase.
That they did. But we also did pretty good.
Yeah.
Josh, we did the thing, man.
We did the thing again.
We did the thing, yeah. We got to get to some board meetings with our Dynasty team real quick because we got to figure this out. But we are so thankful everybody joined us. Like, subscribe again. Follow us at Ruckus EV, everything. And since you just joined and you asked about injuries, brother, we got a video for you. You enjoy it. We'll see y'all. Peace.
Prissy, this is from y'all.
Get Brock over 30.